Welcome to the Dracut Connection. We're coming to you live from Dracut Access TV. It's October 13th, and we're live, folks. We're back on the air. We're still on the air. I'm Brian Bond. I'm going to be your lead co-host for this evening. I'm joined by my good friend and ally who still came to the show, Gordy Scott.
After all this happened.
Bill Moran is at a water commissioner meeting. As you know, he's a water commissioner at Dracut Water Supply District. He's going to do his best to get here and join us. So, Gordy, how's everything?
Well, I think it's been crazy. Things have been going crazy here just on Facebook and things with Trump, with all the stuff happening with our friend, Mr. Trump, and the First Lady coming out, making a speech today. So I think I'll bring this up later in the show, but it's just generating a lot of angst, I guess, and you could say in my family. So
yeah, they're what the media is trying to do is polarize that segment and embarrass and try to ostracize that group. So if you're a supporter of Trump, you're in for a lot of trouble, and we'll get into that, folks, later on the show. What about this past weekend?
This weekend I was in Washington D.C. traveling for business, so I worked pretty much the whole weekend. We were shutting down one of our data centers, getting some new cold water into the data center for our air conditioning units. We did some UPS maintenance, things of that nature, and we were able to restore all our systems. And
cool.
So I was working all weekend, so it was fun.
All expenses paid?
Yeah, and then I was coming back. To a quick story, I was flying back from D.C., and our flight was supposed to be at 8, and then it got delayed. You know, I think there was some bad weather back here in Boston. It was raining. I think you guys got we got a couple inches of rain here or something like that. And then, so our flight got delayed to like 8:55, I believe it was, and then the plane landed. All of a sudden, we see all the pilots and all the staff start coming off the plane, and we're like, well, what's going on? They said, well, we're over our hours. We can't fly anymore. So we had to wait for another flight. So I didn't get home till like 3 o'clock in the morning, Monday morning. So, yeah.
You work Monday?
I did. I went into work Monday.
That's good.
Yeah.
Dedicated. Well, you're in the private sector. You have to work.
That's right.
You know?
But now I had today off, and I have tomorrow off, so it's been nice. I went for a run today.
Oh, really?
Went for a nice run, yeah.
Energize the batteries?
Yep.
How old are you?
I'm 46. I'll be 47 soon, Brian.
That's pretty good. So you're pretty close to my age.
Yeah, I think so.
So myself, of course, every weekend we go hiking. We're doing a lot of bushwhacking, and then this past Friday we climbed a mountain called Mount Jefferson. It's like 5,700 feet. But what we actually did, we went up the Caps of the Ridge Trail. We're working on many lists, but this particular list is called the Terrifying 25. And in the Terrifying 25 list, you have to hike certain trails, and they're obviously terrifying. So we went up.
Terrifying what way? Just steep or?
Well, they're steep, or there's a lot of ledge, a lot of really terrifying sections of the trails. The tougher trails throughout the system. So we climbed up almost to the very summit of Mount Jefferson, probably about 300 feet below the summit. And then we went down this trail called the Finks Trail, and it's really steep and lots of boulders and a lot of treacherous areas. And then we kind of traversed inside the Great Gulf Wilderness, and we went back up Jefferson on a section called the Six Husbands Trail, which is very steep. It's got a lot of ladders that are bolted towards the ledge, up to the summit again, and then out. We were hiking for 12 hours.
Wow.
And
I think the last show you were like at 86, weren't you, or something? Or?
Gee, yeah, we're up to.
You must be getting close to the 100, right?
Yeah, actually, it's funny that you mentioned it. I forgot the count, but we actually are at 100 right now.
Oh, you hit 100, because I knew a couple of shows ago. I think you were at 86 or 88.
Because we did 6 mountains 2 weekends ago. This weekend we did 3 mountains. So now we're actually at 100. But so then.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah. That's great. This year 100 mountains. So. And I'm glad. Hey, we've got a huge audience tonight, by the way, and we'll talk about that later. But they're probably interested in my mountain climbing first, or they have to sit through it anyway. So that particular hike, it was about 10 miles, But it was really the elevation gain that was the killer, and climbing up and over boulders in the Presidential Mountain Range. It's really rugged, and it was like 5,300 feet of elevation gain in that 10 miles. So it was quite the hike. And then we actually came back to town Saturday and Sunday to do some family things, some family obligations, and then went back out on Monday and we bushwhacked 2 mountains, where the bushwhacking again is a trailless hike where you use your map, compass, GPS. And my wife and I each found moose skulls. You know, we haven't found any moose antlers or skulls or bones in some time, but we happened to find them this past weekend, and we left those there. And
So how
hit
long
2
are you going to
miles.
be going into the brine? I mean, because it's starting to get cold now. The weather's changing. How long are you going to? How far do you think?
We actually hike right through the winter.
all the way through.
Right through the winter. Last year, the coldest day we hiked last year was 14 degrees below zero at the start of the hike.
Yeah, I'll let you.
before we got
I'll
to
let
the
you handle
mountain.
that. I don't think I
So
want to do that.
the idea is just to keep moving and to layer properly, and you know, and know when you got to turn around, because you can
Get stuck out there, right?
get into some bad situations. You got to look at your weather reports, all that kind of stuff. It's a different animal, but so we need to address the elephant in the room,
Yes.
and that's me. And an incident that happened, which I really didn't even know happened on our last show. And I guess what I'd like to do is, if I get the right video, gentlemen, could you put up my screen? I want to play this video for the folks at home, and this kind of kickstarts what was going on. So let me size that up. We'll play the video, and then we'll touch base after the video. Welcome back to the Dracut Connection.
Well, because we're the #1 show on Dracut TV.
Well, not only are we
who
the
wouldn't
number
wanna
one
be on the show?
we're almost 4 years running now. Come the beginning of the year, we're 4 years running. This happens to be our 128th episode. They said it would never last. They tried to stop us at least a dozen times now, and but we're still here. I had
everything-
somebody send me a text, and I apologize for not seeing it earlier. And somebody said, "Hey, say hi to Bob, Corey, and Gay," because I'm sure they're watching from Town Hall and reporting to Town Hall West.
Leave Bob and Gay alone.
I know. I'm
Bob
beginning
and
to-
Gay, I'll tell you right now, Bob and Gay's done a lot for this community.
No, they have. And I'm beginning to like
And I
them.
don't agree with him all the time, but they do care for their
Yeah,
community.
I'm beginning to like Bob a little bit, because I was
about
looking at
time.
his financial statement for his campaign finance reports, because I was looking at how Jesse Forcia was taking huge donations from the Trinity Ambulance, and so I looked at Bob Corey's. He didn't take money from anybody, you know, so which is good,
Right.
you know.
So I
was
just
just
think-
reminded how Bob, Corey, and Gay really beat me up during the Housing Authority thing and the Mary Karabatsas thing, and I shouldn't be so nice to him. But I'm trying to turn over a new leaf.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hard to you. You'd never know it today.
Proud of you,
Hey,
Brian.
you would
Proud of
never
you,
know
Brian.
it today.
But if they cross me, I'll kill them. All right, so
You gotta have skin in the
somebody
game.
just texted me that Mr. Shaw and Mr. Draco are shaking in their pants right now if Zimini comes back to town. If I told you who this person was, and it's not Mr. Zimini, but you'd all laugh, you know, because it's one of them. No, it's not Bob Corey. But so
Leave
any
Bob
other-
Corey alone.
No, I even said Bob Corey might be out of the Good Old Boys gang.
Oh, I don't know.
So
I'm for this.
As always, folks out there, thanks for watching the show. We enjoy having you.
okay, here we go. We started it again. Let me see if I can minimize this. Well, Gordy, you know, hey folks, I want you to know that you can also, if you want to comment, you want to chime in, you got something to say, put the number up on the screen. You can call us and give us your opinion. So, as you've seen, folks, I was throughout the show, and I'm going to say for the past year, I've been complimenting the Coreys and Bob and not really Gay. Really don't talk about Gay much, but Bob Corey about his political stances on things and feeling that he's not as political as I thought he was. And so I was totally surprised that Bob filed the complaint at the police department about my comment there, which my comment, folks, was a tongue-in-cheek comment, and in no way did I mean any ill harm to Bob. And in fact, I've got another press release that. Why don't we just show this right now?
I think that'll explain it a little bit.
That'll explain it a little bit more. So I put together a little press release, and this is basically my statement, folks. So if we could, one more time, Ron, put this up on the screen. We'll play this. My statement about Bob Corey throughout the show displayed I had no ill feelings towards him, and in fact, I complimented him often. The tongue-in-cheek comment in question was used to be humorously or otherwise not seriously intended and should not have been taken at face value. My facial expressions and those of my co-host indicated that I was joking or making a mental effort to do so. If this comment struck the Coreys as offensive, I am sorry, as that certainly was not my intention. All right, so there you have it, folks. The moment you've been waiting for.
I think that was big of you, Brian. I think that's, that was the right thing to do. And obviously, we don't really hold anything. We talk about politics on this show, and I don't think we hold ill will against anyone. Honest to God, we don't do that. We don't, we don't wish bad on anyone that watches the show or, things that we talk about. We try to keep to the issues and talk specifically to the issues. And, but I think that was very nice, and that was the right thing to do. Hopefully, Bob and Gay are watching tonight, and they got that. And I think that was great.
I don't understand. Obviously, folks, we were joking around. We were laughing about it. There was no intent. I'm surprised at Bob and Gay, and honestly, I think they were really pushed into going down and filing this. And I get into the old, what this TV program is about. It's about informing you, the viewer, of things that are going on in town. And part of that is good things, and part of it is not so good.
Right.
Our job is to let you know if we see any shenanigans going on. And there's a lot of folks that don't like that. And we're given a different view, a different opinion from some other people. And they don't like it. And they don't like it if we call them out on something. Like we talked about the housing authority thing last week, and that's a perfect example. Now, in my opinion, there was 4 political hires that took place. And I outlined it, and I gave you the connections throughout the whole thing, and people don't like that because they really want those things kept hush-hush. They don't like it one bit because, and that just doesn't go on at the housing authority. We've talked about that, whether it's in the school system. We've talked many times when we see shenanigans going on. Because we want you folks to know, these people are out there spending your tax dollar, and they need to be held accountable if they're doing something wrong.
Right. And I even mentioned, how many times have I mentioned the skateboard park on this show, Brian, where my wife worked. And the only reason my wife got that job, to be honest with you, is because she had the connection through me, because I knew about the job that was happening. And she's actually stated to Miss Cahill at the Recreation Department she'll not be back next year if they keep it open. It's just because she just feels guilty for sitting in a chair, getting a suntan, and collecting taxpayers' dollars. It's not right.
Waste of money?
Right. Well, the first year, I think she really decided to do it because she felt for the kids, and she wanted to do the job.
In the first year, just for the
park.
record, were you working on the show the first year?
No, I wasn't on the show. But I, you know, and you actually mentioned something.
Not
to me.
working, but
No, but you actually
volunteering.
mentioned something to me, and it is kind of the good old boys network, right? Where I was in a position that gave her the ability to get the job because I put her name in, because I felt bad for the kids myself. They did a great presentation about the skateboard park. They came in and said they really wanted to keep it open. And you know, I felt bad. I would have done it myself if I could have, if I had the time to do it. But my wife stepped up and did it, and because of the connection that I had. And I think your point is valid. Is that, you know, that's not always right. That's not always the right thing to do.
Right. So, folks, you know, we on the show, we have a right to discuss what we want to discuss. We have a freedom of information. I mean, a freedom of speech right to talk about things and not be censored. And I find this, you know, is just another chance that some folks are trying to censor us. Because, you know, and I'm going to throw his name out here, Warren Shaw, and in fact on Sean Ash's site, this Facebook site today, he talks about DAT should censor us. And censorship, I mean, folks, they start taking your rights away, your freedom of speech away. They're going to be taking your guns away. They're going to be doing all kinds of things to you. It's just a start, you know. And we have a right to say things. You may not like what we have to say, but we have a right to say them. You may not agree with us. You know, you can start your own advocacy show, and you can bring in your own opinions. You know, Warren Shaw does it every Saturday morning on WCAP. Right. He's got an opinion, and he has a right to have that opinion. You know, he has a right to start his own show here and come in and discuss things. You know, do I believe the Coreys are behind this? No. I believe it's Warren Shaw. He's jealous. He doesn't like the fact that we bring up things if we see shenanigans going on. He doesn't like it. And you know, an attack on me is an attack on everybody out there.
Right.
You know, and what he does, he brings into, and people have called me up and told me that he has told them if they come on the show, there'll be repercussions.
Repercussions. Yeah.
Repercussions, whether it's being ostracized or whatever he likes to do to them. You know, you can't be a friend with Warren if you're a friend with me, or if you come on this show, you know, you'll have to be concerned about him. You know, Gordy, they must be coming after you.
Well, not yet, but I did see something on the Dracut forum. They try to take, you know, you said you were going to turn over a new leaf. I said I was proud of you. I'm trying to get Brian on the straight and narrow. Like, you know, a lot of people don't like Brian in the community. I think Brian's a great guy. You got to give him a chance. I think that he's underneath all of his rough and tough exterior. There's actually a good person underneath there, and you know, that's what that's why I'm on the show. And you know, I'm proud to call Brian a friend, and I think that, you know, a lot of people, I hear from a lot of people said, get off the show. They tell me to get off the show. Don't get involved with Brian Bond. And I said,
why do they tell you that? Because they're afraid of Warren.
What's going to happen? Right.
They're afraid of Warren.
Well, they're concerned about me, I think, too, and they're afraid that something's going to happen to me. But, you know, I'm my own person. I can make my own decisions, and
yeah.
I think this is a good show. I think that we need to inform the viewer out there in Dracut what's going on in the town.
You know, Gordy, I've been recording Warren shows for quite some time now on WCAP because I really don't like, you know, he beats us up too. You know, he's called us ISIS, he's called us cancer. John Zimmer's got cancer after he called us cancer. You know, I have several recordings where he's talking about, you know, trying to shut down Dracut Access TV, that they shouldn't allow any type of programs. Sean Ash, again, is got censorship on his thing. They're trying to stop anybody's view that doesn't conform with theirs, and that's what I have a problem with. And you know, so I received a written warning from DATV Access, which I will appeal, and we'll let the process play out. You know, I can't allow this to go in this direction, because again, if I give in, then the the Constitution is at risk.
Right.
So we're going to move on.
Because we do have other things to talk
Yeah,
about.
we do have other things. Actually, I have to put one more thing out there. Somebody, and this is what happens, folks. People send me text messages or they give phone calls, and I have to address this. Before we get into town meeting articles and stuff like that, and let me bring this up. I got a Facebook, or a text message where somebody's having a fundraiser at the school, at the Inglesby School, and there's a local farmer that's selling pies, and I guess what the fundraiser is that whoever sells, whichever classroom, there must be 500 kids at the Inglesby School, and whichever classroom sells the most pies will get an ice cream party. And my question is, and then there's a call to action for the people who purchase the pies to come to the farm stand and pick up the pies there, and it's right before Thanksgiving, so that person wants people to pick up more than just the pies. So it's a call to action. So I question whether you can actually, through a school fundraiser, advertise your business and have people come to your house, to your business, and pick up pies. So you're advertising in a school, in a call of action. And I guess I don't mind that if all the proceeds go to the school or to the fundraiser.
That makes sense, right?
But it's almost like putting a menu out to 500 families and asking them to purchase pies and come to your. It's like I don't know if that's legal.
And if I had a pie company, I didn't get the same.
You didn't get the same opportunity for
then.
that,
How's that
to
fair to me?
advertise.
Right.
Yeah, so that's something that I think we should investigate, and maybe that person can bring it up. All right, town manager evaluation. Let's get off of this and into town manager evaluation. Do you want to start with that?
Sure, yeah. I watched the selectmen's meeting yesterday, and obviously all 5 selectmen went through and gave a brief synopsis of their rating, I guess, for the town manager. And Mr. Dracut started off. He gave him 2, I think it was out of 4 possible, was the highest grade. And Dracut brought up things like, how the MRI reports have been coming out for the police and the fire. He hasn't agreed with that and how that's been worked out. And on the other side, Archinsky, I think, gave him the highest rating.
Let's stick with Dracut for a minute, because his quote was, "It doesn't appear like we have a team concept."
Right. That's what his words.
And to give a 2, I mean, he didn't give him a great review last year either. And everybody knows out there that Dracut and the manager's trying to help, conform.
There's been some contention between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the manager's trying to do his job. And honestly, folks, I think the manager has done a great job for Dracut.
Yeah,
Look at
absolutely.
the position we are in now compared to prior to him starting.
You can actually see the town is moving towards.
Yeah.
We're getting new businesses in. He's
Business friendly.
Business friendly.
Everything that he talked about. The part that Mr. Dracut doesn't like is the studies, the feasibility studies, which the manager brought to everybody, and everybody said, "Yeah, let's do it."
Right.
And then all of a sudden, they didn't like the results of the studies that showed inefficiencies in areas that needed improvement. And, and that's been Dracut's rub, I believe.
Right.
And it's really beat up on the manager.
Right. And I've seen the manager around. Like I said, I'm on the rec board. He's always at the building. He's always around. I liked Dennis Peendak when he was the town manager as well, but I didn't see him. Maybe it was because it was towards the end there, but I just think the town manager that we have, Jim Duggan, is doing a great job. You don't agree. You're not going to agree with anyone you put in that position. You're not going to agree with 100%. But I think he's doing a great job.
I'm getting more text messages, encouraging text messages from the viewers out there.
Oh, that's good.
And you know what? I hate to interrupt you, but we probably got more viewers tonight than Trump had on his first debate.
It might be. No, but I think we both agree that the town manager is doing a good job.
Yeah.
And
All right. Allison Hughes.
Yep. So Allison, I don't think she said a heck of a lot other than, I think overall she thought he was doing a good job. I don't know. they didn't say in public what the exact grade. I think there was like a 2-point something and a 3-point something and a 4-point, out of a 4.
She gave a 2.93.
Is that what
the
the
information that I have?
Okay. Yeah, it wasn't. They didn't publicize it on television last night. They just
Right.
kind of said. They kind of just gave an overall review.
Well, and honestly, folks, this is where I really misinterpreted Allison Hughes. I thought she was going to give him much higher grade. I really did. Although, and a couple of weeks ago, I mentioned the fact that her and a former selectman had a big blowout, and I guess he reassured everybody that was not
didn't
true.
happen, right? Yeah.
And maybe this score is a reflection that yes, I was wrong again, and they didn't have a blowout. I'm disappointed in Allison's scoring because, again, I thought Allison would have gave him a much better review because of the economic development that he has brought to the town. And again, I think she may be influenced about the studies. And folks, the studies have been positive things for the town to move forward financially, which we're having financial troubles in town, and we need to rectify those problems. And these studies are going to take care of that. So I'm disappointed with Allison on that.
Yeah, and I think the town manager that is also, he's starting. You'll see in some of the warrants that are coming out. He's trying to take care of the school. He's trying to get some more money for the school from free cash. He's getting some new snow equipment. So he sees the bigger issue, but unfortunately, you only have so much money. It's kind of like, you have a household and you get $20,000 and say you got to pay your mortgage, you got to pay all your bills. How do you do it? And I think he's doing the best he can.
Well,
with
here's
what he
my
has.
concern. The way he gets beat up at the meetings by a few, and we'll get into it.
And
Rocco
he
beat him up.
takes it. He sits there and takes it. He
Right, but the killer is, his contract is up in March, and
I think
if they're foolish not to re-sign him,
yeah, they would be foolish
because
not to.
this town has been moving in a really good direction, and that's all because of Mr. Duggan. And if they don't re-sign him, and honestly, I'm surprised if he gets an opportunity, he is out of here.
He might be,
which
yeah,
is disappointing.
Archinsky, I think, gave him a good.
Well, let's go
rating.
to Tammy, because Tammy actually had the next. She was in the middle of the road
Yeah.
with the review. She gave a 3.33, and I know Tammy was probably not happy with the police assessment and the appointing of the chief, but overall, I think that her comments, and I think the comments on the show, she spoke highly of what he was doing.
Yeah, I think she said we're going. She sees the town going the right direction.
Right.
Which is
Right, right. And so I'm happy with Tammy. I wish she would have scored a little bit higher for him. But, I'm pleased with what she said and the forward thinking of the town going in the right direction, giving him positive comments instead of slapping him around, Next,
Jesse Forcier.
Jesse.
He didn't really. He said there's some things I liked that he did, and some things I really didn't like how they were handled. But that's what he said. So I couldn't really get a feeling for if it was either positive nor negative. It was kind of neutral, I thought. His overall comments.
His score was 3.74, which is the second highest score.
Wow, that
which
surprises me.
Honestly, I was surprised at that. I thought his comments and I think Jesse plays both sides, and I think that Jesse likes the direction that we're going economically and would like to see it continue.
Right.
But I think that Jesse also has to play to his supporters and people that, advise him, and where he beat up Duggan a little bit. Or it's Jesse's tone, the way that he talks and comes across as angry sometimes.
Right.
I don't know, but I'm glad that he gave him a 3.74. Now, Jesse, I hope you didn't fall off the stool because I said something somewhat okay about you. But I'm glad that he gave him a good score. I wish he wasn't influenced by other people, and we can go from there.
And Tony Archinsky was the last one. He had a glowing recommendation He thought all the, the MRI assessments were right on. And I think that's a good thing. And he sees the economic development the town manager is doing is pointing in the right direction. So Tony, I don't know what the final score was, but I'm assuming it's very high.
His score was 4.23.
So is this out of 5? I thought 4 was the highest, so maybe this is
No,
out
no.
of 5.
This year they did a different scoring system. Last year it was 4 was the highest. This year 5's the highest. Tony.
So Dracut gave him a 2. That's like a failure.
Yeah, that's terrible. Tony, who I haven't always disagreed with, and actually I've been complimenting Tony recently, which might get me in trouble. It seems people I start to compliment.
Brian, what's going? Am I rubbing off on you? You like
people that I'm complimenting end up coming after me for something, So, but I've been happy with Tony and some of his choices. I'm happy with the score. He commends Jim for trying to do stuff different, and I don't always agree with Tony. There's some stuff that I totally don't agree with, but I think in this particular instance, he gave a great review. I think he also wants to see the town move forward. He wants to see the schools improve, all the other, the fire, the police, the town. He'd like to see that improve. I know he still has issues with some of the police department management. That's the kind of the thing that, does that influence some of his judgment? I don't know.
Yeah, and Brian, one thing I wanted to bring up, it's probably not on the agenda, but I want to speak briefly about was I don't know if you noticed at the Selectmen's meeting last night that they all had new Microsoft Surface tablets.
Oh, really?
Yes, so Ann Vandal had one, the town manager had one, Shannon had one, the four out of the 5 selectmen had a tablet. But do you know who did not have one?
Joe, because Joe won't use one.
Because he won't use one.
Well, which is fine, whatever.
Right.
Whatever, he's just, it's not his
But it's
thing.
kind of good to see that you're
Right.
using technology.
I just got a text message, and I won't reveal this, but this person is not a fan of Tony Achinsky's. Let's just leave it there.
Okay.
And folks, you can call in and view your comments, or my phone number is out there all over the place. So if you don't want to phone in and you got a comment and I can read it, I will. Go for it. The blogs. I haven't seen anything on Dracut forums regarding the manager in the assessments.
Right.
But the real Dracut forum, the real Dracut forum, had some assessments, which I thought were pretty good. Check it out. Also, folks, go to our Facebook page and like us and get involved with the conversation. It's the Dracut Connection. Like us on Facebook. Or put down your comments.
Put a comment for live while we're on the show, and we can see it.
Right. And honestly, there's several of us that have access to that Facebook page. I am the administrator of the Facebook page, but Gordy can access it. John Zimney can still access it. John Zimney may be moving back to town again. I want to let you folks know that. Phil Tebow, who's on a temporary leave, can access it. And people have actually given me a couple slaps here and there, and I don't delete it. I might not like it. I don't delete it. Your opinion is your opinion. As long as it's
we don't censor. We don't
censor, and we're not looking to censor.
Right.
All right. All right. We're going to talk about town meeting articles. And speaking of Phil Tebow,
he had one on there, didn't he? He got up and spoke.
Yeah, he did. But Phil Tebow will be joining us next week, and we're going to actually talk more in depth about not next week, in 2 weeks. We're going to talk about all these town meeting articles. So, we've got 23 minutes left in the show. I don't know what we're going to get through, but we're going to rehash it again. And we still want to save, some time at the end of this show so we can talk about the Trump and Clinton race.
Yep. And Brian, we are trying to get a show live outside. Well, not live. We're going to tape a show outside the town before the town meeting. So we're going to try to get out there and get that scheduled for folks out there. So we'll hopefully be out there taping live, and you can join us. Stop by the set.
Yeah.
Ask us questions. If you want to join us, let us know on the Facebook page, and we'll make sure
Were
we
you
get you
going to
on.
look into that?
Yeah, so I think we're going to do it, yeah.
We definitely have to look into it. We're going to try to get the van there and we'll
Right.
record it.
May not be able to do live, but we'll record the show.
Right. Okay, so let's get into the November town meeting articles. The first one I kind of I checked off is Article 5 to stabilization fund to establish for the purpose of creating a technology stabilization fund. So
Right.
what are your thoughts?
Well, here's the rub for this. I think this initial article is specifically to purchase some new technology for the schools. It's going to be basically reserved for the schools. There's the school wants to get a little over $1 million for the school department. So the town does have to basically set aside some money to meet that goal, because the school is going to be putting in for a grant from the state.
So is that Article 5,
No,
like I
that-
just
well,
read, or is that Article 9?
It's Article 9.
But it's kind of tied
right,
together.
They're tied together, because what's going to happen is on Article 9 is they're going to ask for let's just call it 1.1 million to round up a little bit.
Right.
1.1 million technology for the school department. So what that's going to do is get them fiber optic cable. It's going to get them some networking equipment, some voice over IP equipment. So what the school's going to turn around and do is they're going to apply for a grant from the state. The state has a $2 million in a grant fund that's available for any city or town in the state of Massachusetts. And then they also have a separate account, which is $10 million that any city or town can use as for a loan. So they can purchase technology equipment. There's a $2 million section for a grant and a $10 million for a loan, 0% interest.
Right.
But to qualify for the 0% loan, you need to have the town back that funding. And then the town basically just pays that back at a 0% interest.
See,
So
folks.
that's what number 5 is going to do, is set aside some money that they can use to pay that back.
Let me jump in, Gordy, and I just want to remind the folks at home. See, this show not only is to, keep an eye on other things that go on in town that may be shenanigans, but we're also here to inform you, the voters, about what's going on. We're going to give you our opinion about it, and we're going to let you call up and give your opinion. So,
So my big thing on this, if we go back to this real quick, is, so think about that $2 million, right, as a grant. So that would be free money for the schools. So that's what they're selling, is we're going to get this free money from the schools. But remember, there's 351 towns and cities in the state of Massachusetts
That are applying.
So let's say 25% apply for this grant. That's about 75 schools that are going to apply for this grant. Well, 75 divided into 2 million, Brian, isn't a heck of a lot of money.
No.
It's about $30,000 that they're going to get, and that's assuming that only 25% of the schools apply for it. So out of 1.1 million, $30,000 isn't a lot of free money. And then the rest of it, there's $10 million. And again, if 25% of the schools, that's 75 schools, apply for this free loan, you're talking about $100,000 or slightly over, maybe $150,000
Right.
dollars they're going to get. So where's the rest of that money going to come from?
well, somebody's going to have
cash.
some explaining to do.
Right.
So maybe on town meeting floor, you can get up and ask that question.
Maybe, yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
You might get in trouble. but, all right, so let's get on to the next article, number 8. The manager, town is looking for money to appropriate for fiscal year to defray the cost of the owner's project manager's scheme, design, demolition, legal, and other incidental costs for a proposed fire station up on Lakeview Avenue.
Right.
I think it's a good thing. Our former co-host was the one who originally proposed that
Correct.
idea.
Yep.
They're going to need some funds. There's an existing piece of land there with a building on it. And that building actually, at one point, they looked at that parcel of land for building housing, senior housing. And just really didn't fit that. I do recall, and maybe somebody can look into this, but when we were on the Housing Authority, I think it might have been one of the selectmen at the time, somebody brought up the fact that there was asbestos in that building. So we need to look at
Some
that
health
because,
issues, there could be some health
right,
issues.
so I don't know, what the funds are going to be, but the asbestos cleanup is going to probably cost some money, if there's any there. All right, Article 10, And I grabbed Article 10 because
You knew
it
I was
says
here, right?
Recreational Commission. So explain that, son.
So the Article 10 is last year the town manager started charging some of the, like Dracut Pop Warner, the Dracut Soccer Association.
You don't need this, evidently.
No,
you know
no,
it.
I know it, yeah. So there were some numbers thrown around, $10,000, $20,000, but it ended up being $1,000 at the end of the day. There's some pushback from the rec department, from our board that says, this is crazy amount of money that you're charging these people to pay. It's going to be too expensive. So the town manager decided, okay, we're going to do $1,000 a year per sport. It's not, so that's fair.
Does baseball have to pay?
Yes, baseball pay. Baseball.
Every sport pays.
Well, baseball, soccer, Pop Warner, anyone that uses the outdoor fields.
Basketball?
Basketball does not pay.
Why not?
Because they're not using any of the grass, the fields.
Well, they're using the court.
Right, the court.
It's an outdoor court.
Right, but there's
What
no
about-
maintenance that needs to go into that. No one has to cut the grass or.
Whoa, 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 whoa. There's maintenance. There's perpetual care. Those courts, the rims,
Eventually,
the nets, the
Right.
the
And
painting.
I actually do that out of the basketball.
All right. What about
purchased
what
that.
about the facilities? You got people out there walking. I don't like
Right.
this because number one, they're always picking on Pop Warner and picking on soccer. They're
Right.
not part of the rec commission. They don't have a vote, which to me that seems like taxation without representation on the recreational
And
committee.
the other thing, the other part of it, there's other sports that you do use the fields that aren't paying the fee. For example, lacrosse, flag football. So there are some other sports that are using those fields and they're not paying.
And
so-
personally, I don't think they should be charging anybody.
Right.
But my rub has always been the fact that there is not a board member from football or soccer that sits on the recreational committee.
and that is
But they
correct.
are Dracut people, and they should be represented on the board. I don't get it. I don't know why. And
I think the only reason why is because they don't register. The registrations don't go through the recreation office. I think that's.
no, but they are governed by the recreational office of what they can do on those fields.
Correct.
So they're governed and they're taxed without representation.
That is correct.
Okay, all right, so let's move on. Is there another article that kind of gets you?
Well, the number 11, they're going to take out $50,000 out of the free cash for Kenwood Water for them
Feasibility
to use.
study.
Yeah, for the feasibility study. But they do have $271,000 in funds in the Kenwood water supply.
Now, is
So I
that,
would question why they wouldn't just take it out of the funds that they have in the Kenwood water supply and not.
now is this the same type of study that we just did for the police department?
I'm
the
not
fire
sure. I'm
department?
not sure. I don't know if.
And I
it's
thought they didn't
explains it
want to
for-
do those anymore,
Right.
Or are they selecting certain groups that they want to or don't want to? So, number 12, town, they're going to change the
Reimbursement.
reimbursement.
Right.
I mean,
I
they're
don't think
going,
that's a big deal.
they're
but-
going from a hotel cost of $100 to $200. I do a lot of travel and hiking, and I've stayed at some hotels that are $75. Because we just basically stay there.
It depends on really where you go. If you're going to Las Vegas or
Right.
if you're going.
But we're just looking. We're getting up at 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning to go hiking again all
Right.
day. So we get a cheap hotel. They're not the best things. Those are $75. I get that. You want something a little bit more, but we also stay in some medium hotels that are like $140.
Right.
So $200 is kind of booting it up a little bit.
But I don't think there's a lot of town employees that travel out of state
Yeah.
for a lot of training, so I don't think it's really that.
the meal allowance went from $25 to $50
My company gives 70, so
per meal.
for the day, so you don't
For
have
the
to
day?
for the day, right?
Yeah, meals and other expenses. The maximum per diem allowance shall not exceed 50.
Yeah, so
Is
they're
that per
raising-
meal?
No, that's
or
for the
per
day. For the day, $50 per diem. It means for the day.
Okay. Okay. I'm okay with all that.
Yeah, I don't think it's that. Again, that you're talking less than $1,000
right.
probably in total.
All right. So, all right. Number 13. This one caught me. They came in, and this was voter petition from
Mike Lindsay.
Mike Lindsay, and he'd like to have illuminated signs in all business districts. And personally, and they're looking for the basic, just the words to pop up. They're not looking for a scrolling
Right,
or
it can't
the neon.
move, it can't have motion, or there was some other it's blinking or,
I get it, and I'm okay with that.
yeah.
You know, that's
fine.
again, folks.
In the day and age we are, it's time for
Right,
technology. to be able
Mr. Duggan is trying to bring in business. We're trying to
gotta
be
do
business
it.
friendly.
You've gotta do it.
We need to do this.
Yep.
And I don't see. I know Joe kind of had a little pushback on it a little bit, Joe Dracut, but I don't think he's going to give a hard time about it. I think it's going to kind of move forward. So, any other one catch your?
Well, the number 24 is the big one.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of stuff happening on Facebook is about the yard sales.
Yeah.
And they brought up in the town manager brought up in the selectmen's meeting yesterday about, I guess there's a place on Broadway down past Veterans Park that the town, one of the houses there every weekend is doing a yard sale. And it's causing traffic.
Actually, it was Jesse who brought the article forward.
Oh, was it
And
Jesse? Yeah.
Jesse
I think
spoke.
he actually spoke to the town manager about it to have him drive by and
And
take a
folks,
look.
the article, I think they withdrew the article, or they're tabling it, and they're gonna readdress
They're
it.
gonna change it, yeah.
But what he wanted to do was allow people to have, I think, 2 yard sales a year.
Yeah, and they're going to charge a
$25 fee.
Right.
And personally, I'm not a yard sale fan. I wouldn't personally have a yard sale myself. I don't go to yard sales. I do know that my mother-in-law loves yard sales.
I mean, I can see having it 2 times a year, but I don't think there should be a fee.
Yeah, I don't think there should be a fee. I mean,
You just have to register. You'd have to go and register for it. It would be a free registration, and you can only have 2 of them a year. So if you're caught doing one, that would be a bylaw violation, or
So-
a 40U violation. You'd have to,
it kind of reminds me. So we're understaffed in the police department, right?
right.
And there's a lot of serious things that have gone on in town. And in fact,
We had something really bad a couple.
my condolences to the, and I don't know the family or the name of the individual, but we had a death, and my condolences to that gentleman and their families for a death that happened.
Right.
And those are things that the police are really needed for, and for them to have to respond to a yard sale
Right.
complaint, or even to take a complaint that I had to go in. They called me into the police department to take my statement on my verbal comment here, my tongue-in-cheek comment. Talk about waste of taxpayers' dollars,
Right.
and judicial resources for the police and the court system to have to address yard sale infractions.
Yep.
And
But I mean, I can see it. I mean, it does cause traffic problems. I mean, I get it. But if you just say you have to go get it, you have to go submit a proposal to get some kind of registration for your yard sale. You get 2 of them a year, and if you violate, then you have there should be some kind of fine for it.
Right.
That's all.
right, I'm not going to go for this one. I don't like it. I get it, and I have people in my area of town that have yard sales all the time. I see them, but come on. You're going to take away people's rights.
I think this is more for the people that do it every week. They're basically running a business out of their home because they have a perpetual yard sale every weekend.
Well, you and I are going to disagree on that. Do you have a problem with that?
No, I don't have a problem with
Great, neither do I. So, one other article that I wanted to touch base on, Article 18, to see if the town will lease a private or non-entity select a specific land or parcel, agricultural or space purposes, to lease a farmland owned by the town of Dracut. So this is money that the town has spent on, when we purchase open space.
Correct.
Or we buy the development rights or things of that nature.
Yep.
And they've got specific locations. I don't like this because some farmer's gonna get this land for nothing and farm it, and,
Right, but it's going to be I think it's like a 5 or 10 year lease.
yeah, big deal.
Right.
5 or 10 years, you can have the property to
think that-
yourself. The part of the CPC bylaws state that we're supposed to have access to this land,
Right, correct.
because we're spending money on it.
So if
okay?
someone's farming it, by law, we could walk across
Right.
the farm.
So, and so I'm concerned about it. So 650 Marshall Road, which is Yap Farm, which was under 61A land, and they weren't really they weren't qualified to be under 61A land, but they got that tax benefit. That's another problem. 761 Mammoth Road, the Beaver Brook Farm, they're looking to do a lot of different things over there. And there's another article on here that I'm not too keen about. And then they're talking about 40 Diana Lane, open space of Dadak subdivision. Now, folks, I'm very familiar with the subdivision. I was on the planning board when this went through, and I don't know, you know, I'm hoping they're not looking to lease this to a farmer or something like that, because the agreement that we had was that there was going to be a sports facility built on that. In fact, when I was on the planning board, part of the conditions of that development was that the builder was going to be donating like $750 per lot to be put into a fund to help the construction of that. Now, there was also three other subdivisions over on the Parker Avenue with a total of 200 lots that the developer was supposed to donate $750 per lot into a fund to help develop that. I don't know where that money is. I don't know where that stands. And
I do know they did come in front of the rec board last week about this, because what's happening is it's getting overgrown because no one's maintained the property. So it's getting there's a bunch of bushes and there's small trees growing. So what they want to do is get some goats in there to start eating all that stuff away and just keep it clean, so we don't have to pay more money to clean out that.
Yeah.
I get the.
so
I get the
where's
spirit.
all that promised development money? That's what I want to know.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
And-
Brian, the other one we have to speak about, not to skip over this one, but
Yep,
we have
yep.
to get to 19, which is, they went to town meeting last year about this one. This is the Fox family up again.
Yep.
So they want the town to take $750,000 out of CPC money to pay this family, right? So they put a restriction on the deed, so it can only be a farm property, can't be used for home developments or anything else. Boy, I got to tell you, if you want to give me $750,000 to make mine into a farm only, I'll take it.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, it might have been one of the selectmen last night in the meeting asked the question. I think it was Tammy Durstalaris,
Yeah, she did.
who's paying attention.
Right.
Can this family
And
now
she voted
go out?
against this. She was 4-1 on
Yeah.
this one.
Can this family now go out and sell that property to somebody
Yes.
with the restriction on it?
Right.
So this family is more or less double dipping.
Right, but it can only be a farm property.
Yeah, but still,
Right.
you know, I just don't like it because
That's why, and I'm not sure who the Fox family, I don't know them at all. I just don't know. This family seems to be involved with
I
a lot
know
of the
them.
CPC stuff that's been happening. Didn't they own the property that was with Mike Kunzler doing the over 55? Wasn't that the house they wanted
No,
to
that's a
move?
different entity.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's different.
Different. But I was actually on the community preservation when this first came in front of us, and I do know. I grew up on Montauk Ave, so I knew the Fox family. I didn't really know them well, but you know, being in that area, we knew them.
But they seem to come up every year. Their name.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great piece of land to preserve, but my concern is that
either
you know,
buy it or
right,
buy it outright, or
right.
that's it.
Yeah, I mean, if we bought it outright and left it for open space, you know, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. So, all right, we're going to have to, as I said, and we're going to have to get into these articles. Phil Tebow's coming in next show. And
There's 30 in total.
we're going to go through them in more depth. We'll talk about other things for town meeting as well. But now let's get into, and unfortunately, Bill's at his water district meeting.
He's probably getting a manganese update.
Not only that, I think they're going to be maybe selecting a new water commissioner.
Yeah, that's going on.
Not
right?
commissioner, but superintendent.
Superintendent, you're right.
So I know that Bill said they've interviewed some people and he's really pleased. He wouldn't tell me who, but maybe we can get an update on that. So the whole Donald Trump thing.
Yeah, it's a sad state, Brian. This has been causing issues in my home. My wife is a Donald Trump supporter.
Are you?
I am as well. Yeah. I know a lot of stuff's been coming out in the news lately. My wife has been posting things on Facebook, social media, and I was just amazed because friends that she's had for 10, 15, 20 years, they're really taking this personally. And I think my big thing here is it's kind of dividing us as a country. Not only is it Trump versus Clinton, it's also now seems to be men versus women, because Donald Trump made a on the bus, on the Entertainment Tonight bus, he made a comment about he's basically saying if you're in power, women will let you do anything to them. I don't think he meant that he was actually doing it to them, but he was just making a comment that's saying that they'll let you do anything to them when you have money because they want to be with you or whatever. And it's just causing a huge. I watch CNN and I see all these analysts on the show, and they're getting really upset. I mean, they're arguing matches on CNN, which you've never seen before. And I just think
why? Because they're nervous.
Well, that. But I think we really, as a country and as people, a lot of people will say that I'm a religious person. I go to church. I believe in God. But I think you really have to say, what would you treat if you were Donald Trump? Would you treat somebody like that? Would you want someone to talk to you about that? God has always told us to be nice to people and to treat them as you would want to be treated. So I think everyone on Facebook, this is crazy. We've got to take a time out here and say, let's treat others as we want to be treated, and let's be. My son says this all. He's noticing this is crazy, and I just tell him, you got to be a good person. You got to. At the end of the day, you want to be a good person.
Most of the stuff is coming from the Clinton campaign.
Well, it is. I know. I understand that.
And there's a.
It's splitting they're splitting the country. They're dividing us.
Right. And let me tell you, folks, if Trump didn't win, and it was Rubio, or was anybody, that was one of those Republicans, they'd be doing the same thing to that person.
Right.
If there was any type of a
and you
challenge.
remember when Mitt Romney ran in 2012, they did the same, and he's probably the most straight guy you could ever find, and they did the same thing to him.
Yep. It's unfortunate. I think there's a big spread in the polls right now where Trump is down by 7 points. I think right now he was down by 11.
But a new Rasmussen poll came out today, a national poll, and shows him up by 2 points.
He's up by 2.
But I saw one on CNN. I was home today. I was watching CNN. They said he was down by 12 points.
Yeah.
So I don't understand.
The media.
And CNN is totally against Trump.
It kind of reminds me of local politics, where a certain group totally controls the media and can get them to put anything in the paper that they want.
Right.
Anything.
Right.
And so.
As we know, as you probably well know, Brian.
Yeah, and so us common folks, it's tough for us to get our message out, and this is a great venue to do it. So they're going to try to censor us. They're going to try to stop the show. They're going to continue, and don't let it happen, folks. Gordy, it's the end of the show. You're up.
All right, as always, folks, thanks for joining us so much. We try to get as much in as tonight as we can. Join us in 2 weeks. We'll be back live here. We'll be talking more about the town warrants, and then we'll be taping a show right outside the Dracut High School, and we'll have a show live right before it'll be taped, but we'll be there live right before the town meeting, and we hope to see you then. And as always, stay connected.